Hey everyone, just before I begin this episode, I wanted to invite you to a 5-day event. It's the Effective Teaching Conference. It is an online international conference for teachers all over the world. Each day we're going to have 3 to 4 standalone sessions. You don't have to select one session or the other. All the sessions are available to you. They're all recorded and are made available to you as a recording as well if you don't get there live for a week afterwards. So you've got plenty of time to access it. We've got some fantastic people running these sessions. I've got Jay McTee, John Hattie, John Bergman, John Lama, lots of Johns there, Susie Boss, Alice Kim talking about cognitive science stuff, Stephanie Howell and Tara Ruckman talking about controlling the chaos. I've got Jeff Bradbury coming, Eleni Karitsis, Holly Clark, Casey Bell, Kelly Bell, Jen Giffen or Giffen. I've got to learn how to actually say everyone's name properly. Erica Terry is going to talk about entrepreneurship and helping our kids to develop that and to write their own kind of books. I've got Kelly Illich coming and Brennan Lee, as well as myself, presenting on all kinds of topics. You can find out all the information for this conference at teacherspd.net/conference. And this whole 5-day event is actually available to you for just $2. So there's no reason why you wouldn't want to take this up, right? This is a week worth of professional development. You can get certificates and stuff at the end, all for just $2. Get all the details and register at teacherspd.net/conference. Well, now let's get into this episode. Well, guys, this is the last episode for the year. I'm going to be taking a break until next year. And as we come to the end of a year, I always sit down, I reflect, and I set some goals. So this is the time for us to reflect on our year. I want you to reflect on your year. What have you been doing? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Make sure you get some evidence, gather evidence, survey your students. I used to love surveying my students to find out what they enjoyed, what things they found hard, what do they still remember, like what lessons stood out for them this year, what things would they wish I did more of throughout the year. Gives me actual evidence to use as I reflect on what I've been doing and how I can improve. You could ask other teachers as well to give you some feedback. That's great stuff to gather. Use some sort of criteria. So in Australia, we have the National Teaching Standards here, which we use to kind of navigate how we're going as teachers. And so reflecting on those are fantastic as well. Just kind of identify, is this a strength or a weakness? And do you have evidence that kind of backs that up to say, if you think something is something that you do really, really well, you should be able to find evidence quite easily to back that up and to show people this is what I do really well. But if it's something that you don't have evidence for, maybe you need to think about, oh, maybe I don't do this as well as I think I do. And having that kind of criteria, getting the actual evidence from the students with the surveys or from other teachers coming and watching you teach and giving you feedback, or even just looking through your programs and stuff and giving you feedback. It's a fantastic way to just improve yourself every year. So reflect on your year, gather some evidence, and start to think about your strengths and weaknesses. The next thing I like to do in my process as I reflect on my year and think about my goals is I like to identify how I'm going to use my strengths to actually help others around me. And so I want to encourage you, think as you're reflecting, if you start to identify things that you're really good at, I want you then to think about next year, what are you going to do with those strengths that you have to help other teachers around you? Maybe it's your faculty, maybe it's the high school or the primary school teachers, your stage year, whatever group of teachers. It could be some PD you're going to run at the school. Maybe you're going to connect in with your teachers association and run some stuff. But what can you actually do to give back and support other teachers by actually utilizing your strengths and helping them? Because for them, it might be their weakness. And so you can go, you know what, this is a strength of mine. Let me help you. I know for me, I love programming. I love curriculum design type stuff. And so I love to help other teachers with that. Behavior management, not really my thing that I'm passionate about. I'm not bad at it. I don't feel like I'm terrible. I don't feel like my kids are out of control in my classroom. But I wouldn't go around giving advice to everyone, because I actually think generally, if you have really good curriculum design and your lessons are well prepared and planned, and you know your students really well, you're probably not going to have too many behavior issues anyway. That's been my experience. But yeah, there's just clear things that we can do with our students there or with other teachers to help them around that. So identifying our strengths and how we're going to then help other teachers through our strengths, running some sessions, helping them out, maybe connecting to your local teaching network and share your skills there. The third thing that you need to do is to identify, on the things that I like to do, is to identify how you're going to improve your weaknesses. So that might be, what books am I going to read next year to work on things that I'm weak in? Who do I need to identify that I can learn from? Maybe I know someone who's really skilled in this area that I could go and just ask them for some advice, get them to come and watch my lessons and give me some feedback specifically on the areas that I want to improve. And that can be really fantastic. Or maybe you can find some professional learning that's actually focused on the area that you're weak in, where someone else is using their strengths and sharing it with you. You can go and benefit from them in that kind of sense. It could be a workshop, an online course, something like that. You can identify, go and find some podcasts, some videos on YouTube, all kinds of things that you can find these days to help you to improve in those areas that you're struggling with. And you don't even have to be struggling with it. It's not your strengths, right? I wouldn't say that behavior management was my weakness necessarily, but it's not my strength. And so I would go and work on that and improve that if I was doing this kind of reflection process possibly. So you want to make sure that you're using all three things. So as you reflect, you're looking for evidence. You want to collect and create surveys and stuff like that so you have evidence to use as you reflect on your year and think about what went well, what hasn't gone well, what things do I need to further develop? Do I need to make sure I embed better ICT or just technology basically into what I'm doing in my classroom in this section? Maybe this one I relied too heavily on a textbook, or maybe I relied too heavily on videos and I need to actually mix it up a bit more with my students. But get the evidence and reflect and identify, use some kind of criteria to identify your strengths and your weaknesses. With your strengths then, plan to utilize them, plan to help all the teachers that you are around you, run some PD with them, share, do a book reading thing with them, share with them, I love reading this book, it's fantastic on this topic. Share it with other people so that you can help them develop. And then with your weaknesses, you're identifying things that you can do to improve those things, or just improve the things that are not your strengths, right? This is stuff that you do at the end of your year to reflect, kind of sign it all off, I guess, as the end of the year. For us in Australia, this is the end of our actual whole school year, and so we finish teaching year 10, we start our whole new school year next year. I know it's not the same if you're from other countries, but it's how it is here. So this is actually the time of year for us to do most of our reflecting and to adjust our units of work and all that kind of stuff to really be on top of that. And it's just such a perfect time as we're coming to the end of the year. We often have a bit more time as teachers. We're not doing the marking and stuff right now. We're going into holidays. We're kind of in relaxed mode. Take some time and reflect, set some goals, find out how you're going to use your strengths, how you're going to improve your weaknesses, and get stuck into it. And if one of your weaknesses is that you need to, learn how to do PBL, or maybe you need to learn how to control the chaos in your classroom, maybe you need to learn how to create the perfect blended lesson or something like that. All those are actually kind of from sessions that are going to be happening at the online Effective Teaching Conference in January. So maybe you need to identify that you need to go and do that PD, in which case head over to teacherspd.net/conference. You can find out all the information. All the sessions are now in there. The schedule is up. I would love you guys to come and learn. The conference is $2. Okay? It's a $2 conference. It goes for 5 days with at least 3 sessions a day. So you're getting 15 to 20 sessions across the week. Fantastic people running these. We're talking about Jay McTee, John Lama, who created PBL Works, right? He's doing it. Susie Bosch, she co-authored half the books with John Lama around PBL and a whole bunch of other stuff. She's going to talk about redefining success with students. We've got award-winning teachers like Eleni Kuritzis who are going to be sharing what they're doing in their classroom. We're going to have people like Kelly Bell talking about the amazing impact that feedback can have and how to do that really well in a way that's not taking up all your time. So there's so much of this conference. Come and join us. It's $2, teacherspd.net/conference. I hope to see you there. This is it for me for 2022. I look forward to supporting you again in 2023 with this podcast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and come and join us for this conference. It's going to be amazing.